a question regarding the utility cost. It includes the elevator.
Correct. There's a maintenance program on the elevator that we were required to.
It's not in the utility.
Yes.
In the utilities that we are paying for includes natural gas, electricity, water, sewer, garbage, janitorial, telephone cable, computer security, and any other utility
Or service.
or service used upon or furnished to the premises. I would question
This is what.
I would suggest that maintaining the elevator, Gary, is not a utility cost to the city.
But
Because the next paragraph talks about the fact that the operator, HAI, shall at its own cost and expense maintain, repair, or replace in good and tenable condition the premises and every part thereof, including fixtures and equipment, and excluding, I'm in paragraph 672 and 673.
What page?
I'm in the new one, not in the old one.
Yep.
I'd have to go to the old one, but I suspect the wording is identical.
What page are you on?
I'm on page 22 of your pad. 22 of 132.
672?
672 is the utilities that we are covering. 673 is the general maintenance. It's the obligation of HAI. So when I look at your list of utility cost that shows you're paying more than we're giving you for utilities, it includes $200 or more per month of elevator service payments.
I think looks like it's
it's a standard service that we adopted everything that the city was already doing in the building.
Just saying,
right?
I don't believe that's one of our covered utility cost.
We assumed it was, but
Yeah, I can tell you that at the library, which is also a city facility operated by the Moscow Free Library District, we're responsible for large scale maintenance. We take care of the elevator.
We're not talking about the library.
No, understand, but what I'm saying is that is the practice that's been going. I can't say whether the elevator was specifically addressed in the original agreement or not.
we considered it a service used upon the premises, and it has to be maintained, and we have the seniors in that building, so.
But we don't pay for service costs. We pay for utility costs.
This utility cost was actually an operations cost, and it's, in my opinion, falsely named the utility fee, when under the paragraph it has all kinds of things that lots of people don't consider utilities. So it was more of what it takes for the city to operate the building was handed over to Heart of the Arts, and that's what that fee was intended for. But I made a list on here specifically so that we could itemize and see which services were being taken care of. If the elevator, now here's important, Walter, if the elevator breaks down, I pay for that separately under maintenance and repair. That has nothing to do with the utility fees. So when I have to call Schindler because it's not running on a Saturday, that's my cost.
Then I don't know why we're paying the service contract.
The service
part of the
contract
utilities.
is regular maintenance visits to make sure that the elevator is fully functioning and safe. That's standard. And in fact, I also have to have a regular elevator inspection by the state, and that is the city's elevator in the building, but I have that inspection come and get taken care of. So.
Jim?
Jenny, would increase in rental rates help you run the building?
If we were to increase, and here's the thing, utilities and other things are continually going up. We're not charging the city anymore when those do go up, but we do use event rental money accordingly. So if we're renting a lot during the winter months and we have a higher utility bill that ends up costing more to heat the space that the people are meeting in, that's where those monies go to. So absolutely, increasing our rental, we consider it in regard to both the end user, the individual who's renting, but as well how it affects the building, because ultimately, Heart of the Arts' goal is to have a self-sustaining facility running based on the revenue sources coming in, that would pay for the day-to-day operations. We're not in that place right now. The discussion should not be happening at this point about that. We should be continuing to renovate the remaining portions of the facility to finish it so that the city has a full, complete asset in its portfolio. And we know we can do that with our current term agreement. but we are not sure that increasing the nonprofit rental rate and scaling down anything else will present that same success. So we just know we've got a 5-year experience that shows that we've got this possibility.
So will an increased rental rate for nonprofits will or will not, would or would not help?
Always an increase in rental rate, if it's well advised, will help. But that's something the use committee looks at every year to make sure that we're both pricing within the range of what's going on in town, but also to make sure that it's not something that's going to negatively impact the use of the facility.
And again, we've got a little bit of a timing issue.
We're running out of time here. I'm in favor of the 5-year agreement and the 5-year renewal period. I'm in agreement with the $60,000 maintenance fee and the $35,000
Management fee.
management. Can't even read my own writing. Thank you. Utilities, and I love the fact that Heart of the Arts is going to take over the landscaping and snow removal, but I would encourage an increase in the nonprofit rental rate.
Duly noted.
Walter?
The reason we're talking about this is your current contract calls for a optional 20-year renewal of your present agreement
Correct.
at no cost to the city.
Correct. And
So that's why this discussion is occurring. We're not ambushing anybody with any kind of a, hey, we just happen to have a great idea, let's make a change here. The contract calls for, at both parties' agreement, for a 20-year new agreement, and the city doesn't subsidize. What you've asked for is a 5-year renewal with the city continuing to subsidize in the changes you've mentioned. So I think it's proper that we've brought these things up. One other thing, you keep falling back on the use committee. I'm kept away from that use committee like the plague.
Well, let's have you join it.
They will never let it happen because I would ask the questions they don't want to ask. So just realize that. So my only opportunity is as a city council member when the contract renews. And Gary got this started earlier because I started asking last January, let's start working our way through this so when the thing does expire, we will have, plowed the ground and so forth. It's gotten a little tighter in the time frame than I would have liked, but that's where we are. I was gone for a month, and people are gone and whatever. I will agree with Tim. I like the fact that they have done such a great job. I mean, I love the fact. I like the fact they want to continue to do it and aren't in here throwing us the keys and saying, y'all figure it out. It's the worst thing we've ever done. I think it's wonderful. I do think that the $80 rate is lower than it should be and should be raised in some fashion, not tremendously, but get it up there a little bit. I would love to reduce the $100,000. I'd like to take it to zero. That's not going to happen. I'd like to reduce it by 20 grand. I haven't yet figured out how to do that. I'd love to cut it by 5 by raising the nonprofit rental rate.
Gary?
Sounds as if there's some agreement as far as the direction on the rental rate, as this is a new contract that will be negotiated. Are you comfortable with the way the use committee is charged with reviewing uses and setting rates or recommending rates, or do you want to have some other mechanism within the new lease? Since this is a renewal, you have that opportunity. What would you like to have happen?
Would it be appropriate for us to have this as part of the city's fee schedule, or is it more appropriate for it to be Heart of the Arts fee schedule?
Essentially, it's a management fee of a city building. It wouldn't be my recommendation that you set the fees for the building.
Right.
Leave that. What I'm asking, I guess what I'm trying to convey is if you want some ability to recommend, some ability to approve, some ability for further say than a single council member participating, then we should explore that now before we enter into another 5-year agreement.
Yeah, that would be my point. Most of your board, if I recognize a few faces out there are in the audience.
Part of the Arts Board.
And I'm in hopes they've heard what two of the three of us up here have said, but I don't think it's our place to be sitting on your fee board.
It is actually your place to sit on the use committee. That's absolutely your place. Tom Lamar serves as your council member right now on our use committee. And if you want to encourage him to make different choices or express different opinions from the council, that's very important that you let him know. I'm sure he's here and listening right now and realizing that this is the council's position, that the nonprofit rental rates are too low.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely what the use committee is for.
Yeah, I agree.
I actually would encourage growing the use committee to be a larger size, that have an additional community member or two represented. Our development committee has another community member on that committee and has a member of the city building department. And we can grow the use committee to require more
Jenny, what I was
members.
suggesting is that we let the use committee do their job and let our council liaison get input, and he's obviously hearing some today, probably understands where the two of us, maybe three of us, are going with this, and let your use committee bring back a fee structure proposal.
As Jenny indicated, it is possible to expand that committee as, again, part of the agreement. If the council would be more comfortable with two representatives, you certainly could dictate that as well. Again, looking for some level of comfort so the council feels like they have input into those decisions.
Walter?
There's another way to do this, and that is backwards. For the city to do pick a number, $95,000 contract instead of $100,000, and for them to need to raise their rental rates in order to cover their shortage.
We currently are getting $95,000 from you.
Okay, then reduce it by 5. Let's go that route. We
Well,
talk about y'all as
the way
100.
you've got it right now. That sounds really good. Why would I do that?
How did that happen? That's just I'm on the committee that we just get to talk about fan blades and light bulbs, so.
Come on, that's an
Well,
important job too.
let me assure you, I don't have to worry about being on either one of those committees because it's never going to happen in my lifetime.
Okay.
Oh, come on, I want you on the committee.
I'm not one that won't blow his own horn. I was put as the fox in the chicken coop on the second use committee. It was a mayor that was smart enough to say, if he's so dadgum smart about this, let him figure it out. And I was the one, I really believe this, and somebody else in the meeting can tell me I don't remember it right, that said, let's go nonprofit because they can get grants that the cities cannot get. They will have an incentive to do it. It'll get the city staff out of the business. So I give myself credit for what you've gotten yourselves into, so you can give me the blame as well if you wish to.
We'll see about that.
I think Heart of the Arts ought to have a meeting, let your fee structure committee talk about what's been discussed today, and come back to us.
Okay, it's scheduled for December, but if you need.
Excuse me, come back to you in what way?
With a proposal on fee structure.
Oh,
So
we
are
don't
you
work-
saying that the council wishes to retain approval authority over fee structure? Which is not, as I indicated.
Not the case currently.
Well, I just had a conversation with the city attorney. He's as skittish about that as I am. I think that would be not advisable. It
Okay.
is a city facility, but you've turned management of that facility over to Heart of the Arts
Okay.
and within the parameters of this agreement. So what I'm looking for is, again, if you want more influence, if we could
Advisory,
expand.
yeah,
You bet.
absolutely.
Have input, report back, all those sorts of things without having control over it, that would be the recommendation.